So what if you wanted the command line to accept variables? So instead of just the old dot slash output, you actually wanted to insert values, kind of like what's being shown here below as soon as I get to it. So here we would have our make run and then our variable, and we're going to insert a value into it, or something very similar to this. So we could do that with a makefile using, well, what's called variables. The driver or whatever has the main still needs to be able to accept the file argument. So this is only partially the way through this, and that would be your string args and the stuff within the main on how to decipher that. So look up command line arguments when it comes to this. It's just the makefile side. So we still have to worry about that. But the makefile requires the use of variables within run, which I'm going to show you right here. And then we give all the variables an appropriate name, and all input is considered strings, which is another interesting thing. So as it goes into main from the makefile is going to shove it into the main here, because this is the one running main. All of those inputs are coming in as strings. So if you really want int, or that to be 23, in C++, you're going to be able to receive the argument, but you're going to have to cast it to an int. Now the makefile doesn't do all that. All it does is basically preps it in a certain order so that you can then do something with it in the main and the string arguments. So here we have our makefile and our driver example. So in the makefile here, the only thing that's really a bit different here is that our val has our driver.out and then our variable that we would go ahead and put in there. And then the same thing for run. So just the same idea. But inside the driver, here's our arguments here. Main, int arguments, and then their character, or really a string of arguments. We're going to have to accept those values as a string, and we can easily go ahead and pull them out from our argument list and pull them out in index 0, 1, 2, stuff like that, just like a normal array. Now again, by default, it is a string, so you need to cast it if you want to do anything else. You'll also notice that we can access those different items in the argument list if we wanted to within the driver. Now, and I've already shown you the command. But here's one with many data types as arguments. So you'll notice this time we're going to have an integer, we're going to pass in a float, string, a long string, and then the same thing for the run. But let's worry about the run one. So it's driver.out, an integer, we're expecting a float, all that stuff. Now, by the way, notice the variables in here are going to have a $sign, and you can name them whatever the heck you want. I'm just putting it in there for int, float, doubles, which obviously is not a reserved word, because otherwise something would blow up, just so I remember what the heck is going in there. But these really should be better defined variable names, like integer could be count. We've gone over variables, so let me move on from there. So here's where things get interesting. Number one is I need to include the C string library just because, again, when we're worrying about our character arrays here, we need to convert them into what we really want, which is most likely a string or something else. But it's really because of our conversion right here. So if I want to convert something to an integer, I'm going to have to use the A2I function for the old C strings. And there's an A2F function. There's an there's a whole bunch of things that you might need to look up. I'm at least putting you in the right direction here. Now notice this is the same code as what we had in driver from the previous, but this time we're just, well, frankly, we're just going to head and try and converting them or casting them from the string into what we want. Here below here, there's our float conversion from A to, or atom to float, and then we convert it from float, and then we can use it in our program from there on out to do what we need to do. Now, in reality, you'll notice I'm not converting two things. They're being highlighted right now. I'm not converting the two strings because I don't need to. They're already strings or character arrays, so we can move on from there. And they would be called argument, let's see, 2 and 3, because this is, sorry, that would be the 3 and 4. There's argument 1 and argument 2. So what's argument 0? Argument 0 is actually the driver.out. That's what's going to be printed out there. So you're going to see the highlights now of argument 1, 2, 3, 4, and what, 5 there? So we have all 5 arguments that could be displayed right here, and that's what the code would be. And you're going to see it right there. There's our driver.out, our 23, that's 3, and then go on from there. So that's our row setup when it comes to using variables in a Makefile.